We are now moving to the next section of the first canto of the book of Yoga, section 114. We have already seen the marriage party has gone back to their place, and now Savitri is living in the hermitage. She has kept aside all the rich ornaments, rich clothes, rich robes, even the rich memories of the past, and she has accepted fully the ascetic life of the ashrama, or the Parnakutis, where all the rishis and the sages are staying. She is putting on ochre robe, wearing no ornaments, doing all household things like any ordinary woman would do, not at all like a princess who was served by any number of servants and loved ones. So all that is now over, and Savitri is in the rude hermitage, refuge, homestead. Yet she is extremely happy because her heart's desire has been fulfilled. She had chosen Satyavan as her husband, and she was determined to marry him only because she had found in him very ancient identity of one soul meeting the other soul, life after life. They each had recognized who the other was, and Savitri is in that sense extremely happy also. Therefore, we have very beautiful, very romantic, one may even say almost kind of an erotic description of the life of young married couple during the first few weeks, months, or whatever. But the story moves very rapidly from this point onward to the mission for which Savitri had come here. At first, to her beneath the sapphire heavens, the sylvan solitude was a gorgeous dream, an altar of the summer's splendor and fire, a sky-topped flower-hung palace of the gods, and all its saints, a smile on rapturous lips, and all its voices, parts of happiness. So in that married life, the early beginning, she sees everywhere joy. The sky, the solitude, the trees, the birds, all the surroundings are full of joy for her. At first, to her, beneath the sapphire heavens, deep blue sky for the summer months, in the Shalva woods, under that sapphire heaven, under that blue sky, in that gorgeous solitude of sylvan trees, green verdant trees, it looked as if she was living in a dream palace. That itself was some kind of a splendid dream which got fulfilled. At the same time, it was an altar of offering sacrifice to the gods of nature, to the gods of this world, to the gods of higher worlds, to the gods of the highest worlds, as an act of sacrifice by which one draws closer to them and by which they also come and enter into our life. An altar of summer's splendor and fire, a sky-topped, flower-hung palace of the gods. So there are pergolas, so to say, on which there are creepers climbing up, and the whole thing is full of flowers, flower-hung palace of the gods seen from above, and all is scenes a smile on rapture's lips. Everything is for our happiness, joy, bliss, delight, rapture. Therefore it is rapture personified. Who is smiling? Who is welcoming Savitri? Who is participating in the joy of Savitri? And all is seeing the smile on rapture's lips, and all his voices, bars of happiness, innumerable words of every kind, chirping and singing and twittering. That itself has become a poet's song welcoming Savitri to her new place. There are no CDs there, there are no record plates there, there are natural voices full of sweetness, full of joy, full of harmony, full of music of other splendid spheres. And all his voices, bands of happiness. There was a chanting in the casual wind. There was a glory in the least sunbeam. Even the early morning ray of light or the evening ray of light, faint it may look, but it was full of glory for Savitri. Everything was happy, joyous, sunshine for her. There was a chanting in the casual wind. There was a glory in the least sunbeam. Night was a cry of praise on velvet cloth. In nestling darkness or a moonlit deep. Day was a purple pageant and a hymn, a wave of the laughter of light from morn to eve. So whether it is day, whether it is evening, whether it is night, whether the night is dark, or whether the night is full of moonlight, whether there are stars, everything was for her beautiful, lovely, charming, attractive, because she was living in a place where she wanted to live with her husband. There was a chanting in the casual wind. There was a glory in the least sunbeam. Night was a cry of praise on velvet cloth. So a beautiful big gemstone, deep in color, green, blue color, as if it was kept on a velvet piece of cloth. Night itself was a gem on this velvet cloth of time, which has all the dimensions in it. So it looked like a beautiful gem itself for her. Night was a chrysoprase on velvet cloth, soft, attractive, pleasing, desirable. That is the quality of the velvet. And it is on that cloth, this shining gem is sitting there. Now that night could be a darkness nestling everything in its nest. Or it could be a moonlit deep, the whole thing is full of moonshine. If this was the night, And the day was what? A purple pageant of royalty, of magnificence, rolling out from moment to moment. Day was a purple pageant and a hymn at the same time. The chanting was there, the hymn was there, as if some kind of a stotra was being recited constantly in the whole place by nature, in the company of that company. In that company, Savitri was living. Day was a purple pageant and a hymn, a wave or the laughter of light from morn to eve. Whole day was for her merriment, joy, happiness, morning till evening, of purple pageants. Purple is the color of the royalty, and it is the royalty in which Savitri was living, although she was now in the hermitage, in the ascetic surroundings. And all his saints smiled on rapturous lips. We have seen already that the poet has personified the rapture of the whole place. It is a rapture of the person who is standing, and it is on his lips there is a smile. Now this is something extremely delicate in his presentation. For the Indian mind, for the Indian aesthetic, this is kind of natural description. It is Kalidasian. That is how Kalidas would use his similes and his metaphors and his allegories and his symbols all along. Now, but for the Western mind, it will look ridiculous. What do you mean by rapture sleep? Rapture, having lips, they will kind of laugh at it, they will ridicule it. But for the Indian aesthetic, it is spontaneous, it is deep, it is psychic, it is very charming, attractive, at the same time very concrete. Day was a purple pageant and a hymn, a way for the laughter of light from morn to eve. His absence was a dream of memory. His presence was the empire of a god. The poet has already told us about night and about day. Night could be dark, like a chrysoprase kept on velvet cloth. Night could be moonlit, bright, and day purple pageants. So what happens during that night? What happens during that day? This is what he is telling us here. His absence is a dream of memory. When Satyavan goes away during the day for his work, early morning he gets up, picks up his basket, picks up his axe, goes to the forest to pick up fruits and flowers and wood, and then comes back maybe sometime in the afternoon or so. So when Satyavan is away in the forest for his daily work, for Savitri, it was a dream of memory. She will constantly remember about him. Oh, he must be doing this thing now, he must be doing that thing now, he must be busy with collecting flowers, picking up fruits, like that. So it was a dream of memory, his absence. And when he is there in her company during the daytime, his presence was the empire of a god. She was the queen then. He was her lord, and it looked as if they were together in some beautiful empire of God. His absence to the dream of memory, his presence to the empire of a God, effusing with the joys of earth and heaven, a tremulous blaze of nuptial rapture past, a rushing of two spirits to be one, a burning of two bodies in one flame. When they are together in their privacy, they would be very intimate with each other, and there will be a deep exchange of joy between them, a fusing of the joys of earth and heaven, Java and Prithvi, as the Veda says. Heaven, Java, Prithvi, earth, they are as if fusing into each other when you are together. And in each other's company, what happens? A tremulous blaze of nuptial rapture, their intimate relationship, their intercourse was a passage of tremendous energy, of nuptial rapture. There is an enormous exchange of energy between the two at that vital relationship. A rushing of two spirits to be one. That is the kind of the occult force which operates at that moment of time in that intercourse. A rushing of two spirits to be one. A burning of two bodies in one flame. They have identified with each other completely. They have become one. Although they are two bodies, yet they have come together, and it is in that combination, in that single body, so to say, that one carbon of nuptial fire is burning in them. Now, this is a description which only a great yogi in a very detached manner can present to us. It may look very erotic, very sexy, so to say, but there is no tinge of that kind at all when he is describing this sort of a thing. It is natural. After all, Savitri, the incarnate, has to experience every aspect of human life, and in that experience, this is one particular aspect. But it is not an aspect in the animal way people would experience and feel and describe. It is something which is very deep, which is luminous, which is occult, that is being presented here. A tremulous blaze of nuptial rapture past, a rushing of two spirits to be one, a burning of two bodies in one flame. Opened were gates of unforgettable bliss. Two lives were locked within an earthly heaven, and fate and grief fled from that fiery hour. Fate and grief fled from that fiery hour. When they are in each other's company in this way, for Savitri, there is no grief. Narad had already foretold about the death of Satyavan. It was fated, it was decreed that it had to happen. But in that rushing of two spirits into each other, fate and grief had no business to be present. They have vanished totally from a consciousness. Fate and grief fled from that fiery hour. Now, this is not just poetic imagination, that the poet is kind of pitching it up. It is not that. It is a fact. When there is a true identity of one with the other, when there is the flow of energy and intermingling of these two, then nothing comes. Nothing comes into it at all. That is a genuine, authentic experience, and it is that authentic experience which Savitri is having here. Now, of course, in this particular line, we have, and fate and grief fled from that fiery hour. This line is more applicable to Savitri than to Satyavan. In the case of Satyavan, there is no question of fate, there is no question of grief. He has a beautiful wife, he is living very quiet, ascetic, happy life. There is no question of grief at all for him. Fate, about that, he has no knowledge. That tomorrow something else is going to happen to him, he is totally unaware of it. It is Savitri who is conscious of it, of the day which is going to rise soon, and associated with that day, the deep grief, not only her personal grief, the grief of humanity, the grief of the earth, the occult grief of the universe, they are all present in it. But at this moment of union of these two spirits, even that grief disappears from our consciousness, from our memory. It is no more there at all. Let us quickly read this passage again. At first, to her, beneath the sapphire heavens, the sylvan solitude was a gorgeous dream, and aunt her of the summer splendor and fire, a sky-topped, flower-hung palace of the gods, and all the saints a smile on rapturous lips, and all his voices bars of happiness. There was a chanting in the casual wind, there was a glory in the least sunbeam. Night was a chrysoprase on velvet cloth, and nestling in darkness for a moonlit day. Day was a purple pageant and a hymn, a way of the laughter of life from morn to eve. His absence was a dream of memory. His presence was the empire of a god, effusing with the joys of earth and heaven, a tremulous blaze of nuptial rapture past, a rushing of two spirits to be one, a burning of two bodies in one flame. Now the opening passage, opening sentence is beautiful poetry also. Maybe we can quickly look at it again. At first to her, beneath the sapphire heaven, a sylvan solitude was a gorgeous dream, and aunt her of the summer's splendor and fire, and all is seen a smile on rapturous lips, and all his voices bars of happiness. We could quickly scan these few lines, 6 lines. Very beautiful poetic technique which is available here, which is extremely descriptive of the psychological condition of Savitri also. At first, he says at first, because in the moment of union of the two, they are in rapture, they are in happiness. But soon, the memory of the fated day is going to haunt her. Therefore, at first, to her, beneath the sapphire heaven. Now we can scan this line as at first to her, beneath the sapphire heaven. It is an am, a pyrrhic, an am, again an am, and amphibrak. Short, long, short. Which is not uncommon in the English composition. At first, to her, beneath the sapphire heavens, the sylvan solitude was a gorgeous dream. Again, here I got third and the fourth and fifth anapes. Was a gorgeous dream. Beautiful gliding movement of poetry. The sylvan solitude was a gorgeous dream. So we have got here two iambs, one pyrrhic, and two anapes. An altar of the summer's splendor and fire. Again, the last foot is an anape. Splendor and fire. An altar of the summer's splendor and fire. Then we have got a different kind of a line here. A sky-topped, flower-hung palace of the gods. See the movement up and down, and at the same time, heavy syllables, light syllables, making the whole movement very solid, also a sky-topped, flower-hung. We can say that the first syllable, first foot, could be even a pyrrhic, although it may be appropriate to take the name. A sky-topped flower, which is an iamb, second foot. Flower-hung, again iamb. Palace, trophy of the gods, anapes. And all is saying, they smile on rapturous lips. All the 5 feet are iambs. And all is saying, they smile on rapturous lips. And all is voices, bars of happiness. We again hear the last line. 4 iambs and a pyrrhic, and all these voices, bars of happiness. Now, this variation of the meter of feet is what gives a charming suppleness to the poetry and makes it more lyrical, more fluid, more attractive also. This is what we have got in the very opening sentence itself, which goes very well with the subject which has been described. The poet described how Savitri and Satyavan merge into each other, burning of 2 bodies in one flame. It was the early few weeks of the married life, and you were locked with each other into unforgettable bliss. Opened were gates of unforgettable bliss. 2 lives were locked within an earthly heaven, and fate and grief fled from that fiery hour. But soon, Savitri has to awaken herself to the reality which is approaching very close. The death of Satyavan 1 year after the marriage. She had forgotten about it totally in the beginning, but now that memory comes to her and she is caught into 2 different moods of grief and happiness. Grief, remembering about the foretold death. Happiness, forgetting all these contingencies of fate and it locked with her lover, Satyavan. But soon now failed summer's ardent breath, and throngs of blue-black clouds crept through the sky, and rain fell sobbing over the dripping leaves, and storm became the forest titan voice. The mood of poetry also has changed. The happiness which has been described in the few earlier lines has now suddenly changed to the grief-ridden sky, the cloud, the rains, blue-black clouds, rains bringing grief, tears of grief. But soon now failed summer's ardent breath. Now here, this phrase is significant. Summer's ardent breath. Summer, that is the chosen month. Savitri and Satyavan got married in summer. 1 year after the marriage, it means again in summer, Satyavan is to die. The physical cause for the death of Satyavan is linked up with this month of summer. According to tradition, it is sometime around June, Jyeshtha, as the Indian calendars would say, in the month of Jyeshtha, that the death of Satyavan occurs. It means also that the marriage was performed in the month of June, Jyeshtha. But so now failed summer's ardent breath, and throngs of blue-black cloud crept through the sky. Immediately after the summer comes the monsoon with heavy rains pounding the entire landscape, and rain fled sobbing with the dripping leaves, and storm became the forest titan voice. This must have been also the first experience of Savitri to see the storm and the fury in the wilderness of the Shalva hermitages. Then, listening to the thunder's fatal crash and the fugitive pattering footsteps of the showers and the long unsatisfied panting of the wind and sorrow muttering in the sound vexed night, the grief of all the world came near to her. Night's darkness seemed her future's ominous face. The poet has switched on to a grim picture of the season, depicting also the psychological plight of Savitri. Night's darkness seemed her future's ominous face. Night has come, and it is she who is showing her the ominous face of the events to come, the darkness, the sad happening which is going to be soon there. The shadow of her lover's doom arose. This is tremendous poetry again. You have got nice darkness showing the face. You have got in that darkness of night the shadow of her lover, his doom. they have made everything very vivid. Grief, darkness, night, shadow. They are very descriptive terms, not only portraying the psychological condition of Savitri, but also the very mood of nature. And sorrow muttering in the sound vexed night, the grief of all the world came near to her. Grief of all the world. Savitri is human Savitri, but even in her humanity, she is divine. Her identification with the entire world is there, even in her humanity. The grief of all the world came near to her. In the occult sense, it is not Savitri's personal grief, the grief of the individual. It is the universal grief. The grief of the world which is gathering into the moment of the night, of the doom, wearing an ominous face. The moment swift and ruthless raced, alarmed her thoughts. Her mind remembered Narad's date. While she was enjoying the company of Satyavan, she had forgotten everything. Grief, pain, Narad's date, everything had completely got out of her mind. But the moment also comes when she is forced, she is made, she is in a state that she has to remember what is going to happen very shortly. Alarm, her thoughts, her mind remembered Narad's date. Narad had foretold that 1 year after the marriage, Satyavan will die. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. That was Narad's prophecy. Narad tells the royal host, of course, in the presence of Savitri, in one brief year, when this bright hour flies back and perches careless on a branch of time, the sovereign glory ends, heaven lent to earth. Satyavan, sovereign glory lent by heaven to earth. The sovereign glory ends, heaven lent to earth. The splendor vanishes from the mortal's sky. Heaven's greatness came, but was too great to stay. It cannot stay too long. The greatness of heaven itself is responsible for the calamity, for the doom, for the death. Heaven's greatness came, but was too great to stay. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. This day returning, Satyavan must die. That is the word of fate Narad has brought from his home in paradise. This day returning, Satyavan must die. The moment is fixed, the hour is fixed, the time is fixed. Everything is decreed and nothing can change it. Nothing has power to alter it. It has to happen. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. This is the prophecy. This is the word of fate. And Savitri remembers that. She is in the company of her lover, but suddenly that memory comes to her. Yes, very short time is there now for them to be together. Swift-winged months will fly away quickly, and her lover will be no more there. Now this particular prophecy of Narad is given here in great epic style in Savitri. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. 12 swift-winged months. You had two solid spondees open in the line. Are given to him and her. Just a rhythm. 12 swift-winged months. So there is a kind of a strength in what he is telling. The firmness of the decree is conveyed in an equally forceful manner by the poetic art, by the use of those two rare spondees. In contrast to that, we have a couplet describing this particular thing by Ramesh Chandra Dutt in his translation of the Mahabharata Savitri. His couplet is in the Loxley home meter. 14ers. Fateful fault or destined sorrow. Fateful fault or destined sorrow. For it is decreed on high. On this day, a 12-month later, this ill-fated prince will die. On this day, a 12 months later, this ill-fated prince will die. He says it is the bad luck of Satyavan. He is ill-fated prince. Now that is not at all the sense that gets conveyed in Narad's utterance. Narad's utterance is more positive. He says, the sovereign glory, there is no question of ill-fated prince. The sovereign glory ends, heaven lent to earth. The splendor vanishes from the mortal sky. Heaven's greatness came, but was too great to stay. There is absolutely no suggestion of ill-fated friends in Savitri's Savitri. In fact, the original Savitri, Vyasa Savitri in the Mahabharata also makes this declaration in a totally unattached manner, in the manner of a witness Purusha. Vyasa says, Samvatsarena Kshinayur Deha Nyasam Karishyati. Samvatsarena, 1 year afterwards, Samvatsara year, Samvatsarena Kshinayur Deha, when the body becomes weak. When the body becomes weak, that he will abandon it. Dehanyasa karishyati. He will abandon Deha. He is life exhausted. He will abandon the body. That is what Vyasa says. Almost in a kind of a matter-of-fact manner. It's all right, Devon. It's okay. Yeah. The grief of all the world came near to her. Night's darkness seemed to future's ominous face. The shadow of her lover's doom arose, and fear laid hands upon her mortal heart. The moment swift and ruthless raced, alarmed her thoughts, her mind remembered Nara's state. In that psychological state, a trembling, moved accountant of her riches. She is a rich lady, but she has to count her treasure with trembling hands. With trembling hands. She reckoned the insufficient days between. A dire expectancy knocked at her breast. Dreadful to her were the footsteps of the hours. Grief came, a passionate stranger of the hours. Grief came, a passionate stranger to her gate. Vanished when his arms, out of her sleep, it rose at morn to look into her face. This is the psychological condition of Savitri. A trembling, moved accountant of her riches. Again, a very beautiful line poetically. A trembling, moved accountant of her riches. That's the reason. A trembling, moved accountant of her riches. You have got Pirik followed by Amphibrach. She reckoned the insufficient days between a dire expectancy knocked at her breast. Dreadful to her were the footsteps of the hours. Grief came, a passionate stranger, to her gate. Banished when his arms, out of a sleep it rose at morn to look into his face. A passionate stranger, grief personified as a passionate stranger. Passionate, as if someone who is compelled to do it, who's ruled by some kind of a force. Passionate, very intense, very emotional, strong, you can even say fervid, very vehement, very ardent. Basically, it is intense grief that visits Savitri. He comes as a guest, at a guest. Grief came, a passionate stranger, to her gate. He will do that which he has come here to do. That is the passion, that is the force. Banished when in his arms, in his, suppose, Satyavan's arms. Out of her sleep it rose. In the morning when she gets up, it is that guest who is waiting at her gate, at the door of the hermitage. Savitri has to receive in the morning this intense stranger, this passionate stranger. Vainly she fled into the visions of bliss. She tries to go back and live in the moments of happiness, but the foresight is there, and it is that which is telling her, no, the grief is waiting there at the gate, at the doors in the hermitage. Vainly she fled into visions of bliss. From her pursuing foresight of the end, the more she plunged into love, that anguish grew. She clings very passionately to Satyavan. The more she draws closer to him, the more this grief becomes intense. This is a typical Arvandonian balance of grief and bliss. Experienced by Savitri. Her deepest grief from the sweetest girls arose. Her grief comes from sorrow, from bliss, from happiness. Deepest grief or sorrow comes from happiness. Again, an Arvindonian dichotomy fused with the contrast coming together. Vainly she fled into visions of bliss, from her pursuing foresight of the end. The more she plunged into love, that anguish grew. The more she plunged into love, that anguish grew. So that's it. The more, we can almost say, I am, she plunged, and I am into love. Long, short, long, critic, into love. That anguish grew. So here we got am, a critic. Again, I am. So these two are balanced very beautifully by the critic in the center. The more she plunged into love, that anguish grew. Her deepest grief from sweetest gulfs arose, a perfect iambic line. Her deepest grief from sweetest gulfs arose. Remembrance was a poignant pang. She fed each day a golden leaf torn cruelly out from a too-slender book of love and joy. 12 passionate, swift-winged months. So each day is being torn off from the calendar, every day, very swiftly. Each day a golden leaf torn cruelly out from her too-slender book of love and joy. Thus, swaying in strong gusts of happiness and swimming in forebodings the somber waves and feeling sorrow and terror with her heart. For now, they sat among their bosom's guests, or in the inner chamber, paced apart. Her eyes stared blind into the future's night. This is what Savitri is experiencing, bliss and sorrow simultaneously in one moment. A very difficult psychological state. And it is only someone who is great can bear both simultaneously. The swaying in strong gusts of happiness and swimming in foreboding somber waves and feeling sorrow and terror with her heart. She is facing the future. Grief and happiness, sorrow and bliss, they alternate. In the same chamber, one walks one moment, he goes away and the other enters in, facing apart in the same chamber, in the same room. Well, this is the plight of human nature. Transient and sorrowful, anityam, asukam, this is what the Gita says. This samsara, this world, this mortality, this human plight, condition is full of sorrow and suffering. And also there is bliss, and they keep on alternating constantly. Now, this plight of Savitri has already been described by the poet right at the beginning, in the very first canto itself, the opening canto, December Dawn. Let us read a few lines from that. How he describes what is now being presented in the book of Yoga. Even in this moment of a soul's despair, its grim rendezvous with death and fear, no cry broke from her lips, no call for aid. She told the secret of her woe to none. Calm was her face, and courage kept her mute. Yet only her outward self suffered and strove. So what is being described here is Savitri's outward self. Yet only her outward self suffered and strove. Even her humanity was half divine. That is why her grief was not her personal grief. It was the world's grief which was drawing closer. Her humanity was half divine. Her spirit open to the spirit in all. Her nature felt all nature as its own. The grief of all the world came near to her because of this oneness, because of this identity of Savitri with the world. Apart, living within, all life she bore. Aloof, she carried in herself the world. Her dread was one with the great cosmic dread. Her strength was founded on the cosmic minds. The universal mother's love was hers. So it is this universal mother who is experiencing this bliss and sorrow through human Savitri. Again the evil at life's afflicted roots, her own calamity is private sign. Of her pangs she made a mystic poignant sword. A solitary mind, a worldwide heart, to the lone, immortal, unshared world, she rose. Savitri has now rise soon for her immortal work. At first, life grieved not in her burdened breast. On the lap of earth's original somnolence, inert, released into forgetfulness, prone it repose, and conscious on mind's verge, obtuse and tranquil as a stone and star. In a deep cleft of silence betwixt two realms, she lay remote from grief, unsound by care, nothing recalling of the sorrow here. When she is in the company of Satyavan, she does not recall the sorrow. Then a slow, faint remembrance, shadow-like moved, and sighing she laid her hand upon her bosom. Then a slow, faint remembrance, shadow-like moved. She remembers Narad's date. 12 swift winged months are given to him and her. A slow, faint remembrance comes. So we have already that description in the opening canto itself. But there is a certain difference. What is being described in the book of Yoga is human Savitri undergoing through that stage, experiencing simultaneously happiness and sorrow. What is described in the Simmerdawn is something which is being experienced by the Divine Mother herself in the transcendent. It is an experience in the transcendent, whereas in the book of Yoga, Savitri's experience is on earth. So it has a certain kind of a poignancy, certain definiteness, certain meaning, that things have to happen here on earth. And Savitri is going to that stage. Savitri is swaying back and forth between grief and joy of union. Grief of the fast approaching death of her husband. Joy because of his company. The poet puts it very dramatically. He says, the more she plunged into love, that anguish grew. Her deepest grief from sweetest gulls arose. Remembrance of a poignant pang, she felt each day a golden leaf torn cruelly out from her too slender book of love and joy. Each page of the calendar is being torn off. Her book itself is a slender book of just 365 days, and with each day a page is being removed. The page of the calendar. Remembrance of the poignant pang, she felt each day a golden leaf torn cruelly out. Golden leaf because of the company of her husband. And it is that which is being torn out. Thus, swaying a strong gust of happiness and swimming in foreboding somber waves. So this is the contrast, gust of happiness and somber waves of the foreboding. And feeling sorrow and terror with her heart, her passion, her love, it is that which has become the food for sorrow and terror. Terror of the dreadful day which is coming very fast. For now, they sat among her bosom's guest. Terror and sorrow have become the guest in her heart. Or in her inner chamber, paced apart. They walked apart from each other, sorrow and joy, in her inner chamber. But it is in that condition she is staring into the future's night. What is going to happen? That has remained totally dark to her vision. She does not know that. Her eyes stared blind into the future's night. This is a very difficult psychological state for Savitri. On the one hand, she is having a very happy married life. On the other, she knows that it is going to end pretty soon. And she has no clue how to meet that eventuality. Out of her separate self, therefore, she kind of stands apart from her own being, from her own inner personality. She stands out like a witness, like a separate being, separate self. Out of a separate self, she looked out and saw moving amid the unconscious faces alert. What is she see around? People who love her, who are intimate to her. What do they look like? This is what she is seeing from her witness consciousness as a kind of a sakshi. What is going to happen? These people have no idea. Moving amid the unconscious faces, loved. In mind a stranger, though in heart so near. These people are very intimate people, but they have no idea of what is going to happen tomorrow. They have no inkling, no thought of what is going to happen tomorrow. In mind a stranger, therefore they are stranger as far as the event is going to occur. In mind a stranger, though in heart so near. The ignorant smiling world go happily by. So the world moves on. They have no idea of the fatal, dreadful, calamitous events that take place in life. In mind a stranger, though in heart so near, the ignorant smiling world go happily by upon its way towards the unknown doom, and wondered at the careless lives of men. This is what her separate self is experiencing, that these people have no idea about things that are going to happen, and what is going to be the unknown. They had no notion of things at all. This separate self appears at a couple of places in Savitri. Let us take an example on page 603. The finding of the soul. There was no strength in her, no pride of force. The lofty burning of desire had sunk, ashamed, a vanity of separate self. The hope of spiritual greatness fled. Salvation she asked not, nor a holy crown. Humanity seemed now to proud estate. So from that separate self, she is noticing that this ignorant world is happily going around in its daily course of activities, but have no idea at all about the fast approaching doom. In mind a stranger, though in heart so near, the ignorant smiling world go happily by upon its way towards an unknown doom, and wondered at the careless lives of men. As if in different worlds they walked, though close, they confident of the returning sun. They wrapped in little early hopes and tasks. She, in a dreadful knowledge, was alone. She, in a dreadful, terrible, frightful, full of fear, she was alone in that knowledge. In fact, nobody in the hermitages knew about the death of Satyavan, 1 year after the marriage. She was the only person who knew. She has not told, revealed, given an idea, given an inkling of what is going to happen 1 year after the marriage. They wrapped in little early hopes and tasks. She, in her dreadful knowledge, was alone. They were moving around, ignorant, smiling world, go happily by. The rich and happy secrecy that once enshrined her as if in a silver bar, apart in the bright nest of thoughts and dreams, made room for tragic hours of solitude and lonely grief that none could share or know. A body seeing the end too soon of joy and the fragile happiness of its mortal love. The rich and happy secrecy that once enshrined her, that once indicates her company with her husband, Satyavan. And in that secrecy, in that closeness also, in that privacy, she was happy all the while. The rich and happy secrecy that once enshrined her as if in a silver bower. A cottage, a green land full of trees and creepers. It is in that happy, dreamy, beautiful world that secrecy was kept in her company, in his company, and it nestled all her happiness. Apart in a bright nest of thoughts and dreams, made room, but now that nest has made room for tragic hours. Her grief has opened out, and it is that which is kind of possessing her. Made room for tragic hours of solitude and lonely grief that none could share or know. None could share or know. That none could share or know. Even if she is going to disclose that grief of hers to others, they will not be in a position to participate in it. They are too small, too weak to bear the burden of the sorrow, that agony, that grief. And lonely grief that none could share or know. No, of course they cannot know on their own. It is only Savitri who knows it, and unless she tells it to others, they would not know it. Of their own accord, they will not be in a position to know it. It was a fact which was made known to Savitri by Narad. It is some kind of a divine intervention by which this knowledge had come to her. And that knowledge is not going to be given to others, which none could share or know. A body seeing the end too soon of joy and the fragile happiness of its mortal love. So in that body, her love itself becomes mortal love. Her quiet visage, still, sweet and calm, in spite of his grief, in spite of his anguish, of the remembrance of the day of doom coming so fast, in spite of that, her quiet visage, still and sweet and calm, her graceful daily acts were now a mask. She was doing her routine works in the hermitage, in the cottage, but they looked as if she was wearing a kind of a mask. She was not her natural personality. Somebody else was carrying out those activities. In vain she looked upon her depths to find a ground of stillness and spirit's peace. Her visage, her face is calm. She is doing her daily acts in a very usual manner. without giving any hint that she is grief-ridden. But she is still looking for stillness and spirit's peace. Her graceful daily acts were now a mask. In vain she looked upon her desk to find a ground of stillness and a spirit's peace. She waved from her, still waved from her, for a silent being within, whose still waved from her, for a silent being within, who sees life's drama pass with unmoved eyes, support sorrow the mind and heart, and bears in human breast the world and fate. She is looking for her inner being, silent Purusha sitting deep within her, trying to find out whether he can come out and take possession of her state. Her face is quiet, her calm is quiet, her visage is quiet, it is sweet, it is calm, it is still, but she is looking for spirit's peace. She is looking for a silent being within who should come out and take possession of her plight. Support sorrow the mind and heart, and bears in human breast the world and fate. It is he who is actually bearing the burden of this world, of this sorrowful and transient earth. And it is he who must come out and guide her in a moment of crisis, in a moment of difficulty. A glimpse of flashes came. She is looking for him with silent being, and occasionally something happens. A glimpse comes, a flash comes, but still the deep presence is concealed from her sight. A glimpse of flashes came. The presence was hid. Only her violent heart and passionate will were pushed in front to meet the immutable doom. Defenseless, nude, bound to her human lot, they had no means to act, no way to save. She was looking around, but veiled from her sight was a silent being. She stared into the night and could not see anything. She herself was once, a worshipped princess, but now that royalty of her life has become a part of the past, and she is working like an ascetic woman in the forest, doing daily acts without complaining, without sharing her grief with others, and that makes things very poignant to her. Still veiled from her was a silent being within, who sees life's drama pass with unmoved eyes, supports sorrow of mind and heart, and bears in human breast the world and fate. Then sometimes she gets a kind of a glimpse, flashes come. Still, the presence, deep presence, remains concealed, remains hidden. Only her violent heart and passionate will were pushed in front to meet the immutable doom. Defenseless, nude to her human lot, they had no means to act, no way to save. They, her violent heart and a passionate will, violent heart, she is in her intense state of passion, in her strong vital nature, she is looking within, but the silent being is not seen. The presence remains hid. So what works in her is only the violent heart and passionate will. Her personality, her vital personality, it is that which is acting all along. But her heart and her will, passionate, violent, she controls. These she controlled. Nothing was shown outside. She is kind of intensely disturbed within, but no hint of it, no indication of it is given to others. They are not in a position to see under what state Savitri is. Only her violent heart and passionate will, they had no means to act, no way to save. These she controlled, yet she manages to control them. That itself is a kind of yoga in which Savitri is already established. One may be driven by the passions of life, but to control the passions of life and to look within is in fact a beginning of yoga itself. And therefore, her human state, preparing to do yoga, is itself a part of her yogic beginning. These she controlled. Nothing was shown outside. She was still to them the child they knew and loved. All those people who were around, they loved her, they knew her, and they did not see that there is something deep in her which is boiling, which is bursting, which is very passionate, that she is very disturbed. She had no idea. The sorrowing woman, they saw not within. No change was in her beautiful motions seen. She is doing her daily activities routinely. No change was in her beautiful motions seen. A worshipped empress, all at once, why to serve? She made herself the diligent serf of all. She herself has become a servant, a maid in the house. Once she was a royal princess and everybody was at her service, but now she is serving others. Yet she was terribly disturbed. Of course, she was loved by everybody, but people did not know under what conditions Savitri is. No change was in her beautiful motions seen. A worshipped empress, all at once, why to serve? She made herself the diligent serf of all, nor spared the labor of broom and jar and well, nor spared the labor of broom and jar and well, nor spared the labor of broom and a pest, and jar and well to an abyss. So I am, and I press I am. That's the meter. Now spare the labor of broom and jar and well, or close gentle tending, or to heave the fire, or art of altar and kitchen. No slight task allowed to others that her woman's strength might do. She was doing all the household work. Once she was a princess, a worshipped empress, but now she is doing all works, jobs of a maid in the house. And she does not spare herself from labor of cleaning the house, wiping, sweeping the floor, or pulling the water from the well or jar, or of lighting the kitchen fire, or lighting the yajna fire. She is not sparing herself from all those work. Or close gentle tending, or to heat the fire of altar and kitchen. No slight task allowed to others that her woman's strength might do. She is serving them, but they do not know what is happening deep within the soul of Savitri. In all her acts, is strange divinity shone. Whether she is an empress or whether she is a maid in a hermitage, in all her acts, a strange divinity is present. A divinity has accepted every condition of life. In fact, that is the very nature of the avatar. The divine comes here as an avatar and accepts all the human conditions. He does not disdain anything which might look to us from his point of view bigger, mean, low grade, nothing. He accepts every aspect of life here in all her acts, and that is what happened. Means unless the incarnate power assumes humanity fully, humanity cannot be redeemed. And that is exactly what is happening in the case of Savitri. In all her acts, a strange divinity shone. Into a simplest moment, she could bring a oneness with Earth's glowing robe of light, a lifting up of common acts by love, by loving every creature. She could bring the touch of that sweetness, of that joy, of that light to the common human being. In all her acts, the strange divinity shone. Into a simplest moment, she could bring a oneness within with Earth's glowing robe of light, a lifting up of common acts by love. All love was hers, and its one heavenly cord bound all to all with her as golden tie. It is the oneness, not of the spiritual person, but of a divine who has accepted humanity and who has love for all. It is that which is binding everything, everybody together. All love was hers, bound all to all with her as a golden tie. But, well, this is the condition. People around her do not know anything, yet she loves them. She does her daily routine works. She who was served by others, is now serving others all the while. She is doing all her work. People do not have any idea. Yet she loves them all. She has taken them into her embrace. But when her grief to the surface pressed too close, these things, once gracious adjuncts of her joy, seemed meaningless. seemed meaningless to her, a gleaming shell, or were a round, mechanical and void. Her body's actions shared not her will. She is doing all the household work, but those actions are not sharing her inner will.